Greetings, this is Sean, and today I'm going to be showing how I made this puzzle for my escape room that I'm creating. These are the pieces that I'm going to be using. Those three pieces there make up the base of it. The other two pieces there make up the top part of it that goes over the bottle. And there are two different size holes there. And those two make up the beams that go along the sides of the bottle. And the bottle that I'm using is a medicine dropper type bottle that you might see herbal extracts and stuff like that coming from, and that is an acrylic wing. Anyway, what I'm doing right now is the wood I'm using is it's a plywood, and it's got this little shiny coat over the top of it. So I'm just basically taking off that shininess so that I can glue them together better, easier. And the hole wasn't quite centered well, and so I just got to make sure that everything stays centered. And those are the clamps I'm going to use to clamp them together. I'm using Titebond wood glue. You can use any kind of wood glue really, but I like this stuff. I got it cheap. I don't know, is that clamp overkill? I guess you can never have too many clamps. Actually, I think I missed a couple spots. But anyway. Here I'm just trying to make sure that the holes line up properly. Again, they weren't centered very well, but one is smaller than the other, so I've got to make sure that I get them centered. And after I get done with gluing, I'm getting ready here to go to the shop view, and I'm going to sand them all square and whatnot. So here I am. This is my bandsaw in my shop, and I use this little piece of wood just to help me get a little bit closer, because there is a gap, and I just helps me get closer to the sanding belt. And I'm basically just sawing or eyeballing the sides to make sure that they're kind of square, getting all the glue off, making them all, one level surface, kind of rounding the edges of it a little bit. Here's the base of it, doing the same thing. I have one little oopsie moment coming up here, which I'm going to slow down for just making it nice and pretty, nice and clean. And what happened here is I accidentally let go of it, and it caught the belt, and it slammed it down onto my surface there, and it startled me more than anything. I didn't get hurt at all. I almost did it there. But anyway, just cleaning up the surfaces. And I didn't show it, but I painted them. I used an antique copper acrylic paint to paint all the pieces. And there's two extra pieces there that you see above that I added. And they're going to go on the smaller top part of it that goes around the bottle. I also made this label for the bottle. It's a universal antidote. The active ingredient is dihydrogen monoxide, and which is water. And you apply 5 drops to the wrist for maximum effectiveness. Just something fun for the puzzle itself, because that's part of the escape room. Is at least one person will become infected with a virus during the escape room, and they have to get this bottle out within a certain amount of time in order to cure that person of the virus that they contract. So anyway, here I'm just fitting everything together, getting ready to glue the posts onto the base, and it really only fits one way because of it being off-centered and whatnot, so that's what I'm checking to make sure that everything fits properly. And I do this a lot, which I kind of speed through most of it. And then I want to make, also what I'm doing here is I'm going to put the those bands there on top so that I can level the top part with the top of the bottle. The plunger part, the squeeze part of it, is actually sticking up out of the hole, as you can see there. And what I need to do is make some marks on the posts so that I know where to drill a hole for the string to go through. And I was going to use that, but it was really hard to see, and so I just decided instead to use a Sharpie marker. I'm just making a dot just above where the top meets is visible. I want the string to be right on top of it so they can't pull that up at all. You'll see later on, I'll show you the finished, what it looks like. So now I'm just putting that back on to position those two rails or guards, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to make a mark where they lie so that I know where to glue them. And then what else? Another thing I need to do too is I know that glue doesn't stick to acrylic surfaces very well, so I'm going to sand off the paint off of one side of each of those rails, guards, whatever. And the sandpaper wasn't working too well, so I just took my wood chisel. And yeah, I did a little bit too much here, and I'll end up going. I don't do it on here, but I'll go back and repaint anything that I scraped off that's exposed, of course. So now I'm just going to glue those up and let them sit while I go on to the next step. So now I'm going to drill the holes that I made the marks on those posts there. And I'm using a 1/8 inch drill bit. Actually, I think it's a 5/32 drill bit, a little bit bigger than that, something like that. And here I'm contemplating how I want to hold them while I drill. And so I just take out one of my big clamps. And it was sitting a little bit too low, that extra piece of wood to drill. I didn't want to drill into my work surface, of course. So I'm just going to lift that up a little bit with the base. something else that I didn't show on here that I did off camera is the part with the top part with the two rails. I haven't done it yet, but I sand out those holes to make them a little bit bigger around, because it was a real tight fit after I had painted everything. So anyway, I'm just putting a drop or two of glue in each of those holes for the rails to sit in, or for the posts to sit in. And of course I did sand off the end of it so that it was making better contact with the glue. I'm just twisting to make sure that the holes are lined up the right way. They should be facing inwards and not outwards. And I'm going to set the bottle in and take the top and set it in place to help hold those posts in place. Like I say, it's a real tight fit, and I fixed that later on, but I don't show it here. So anyway, here it is done, all glued up, all ready to go with the string going through. And there's you can see a little gear there that I've got there. I end up replacing that gear with just a regular wooden bead, as you'll see here in a minute. But that's basically the puzzle. They've got to figure out how to get the string off of the device so that they can lift the top up to get the antidote out, basically. So anyway, that is one of my first puzzle that I've created for the escape room that I'm making. And I created that little symbol with the alien, and there's little other symbols around the outside. They're really hard to see because they're so small. And here's kind of me just kind of playing with it a little bit, just to give an idea of what a person might need to do to replace. I'm not going to solve it here. I'm just going to kind of show that it's, nice and tight, and how it works, and what people might have to think about when they come up to this puzzle. And of course I'll paint the triangle. I didn't show painting or cutting the triangle. I just basically cut it with my scroll saw, and I just didn't think about recording it. I apologize for that. But then anyway, the string is all wound in through these holes and whatnot, and you've got to figure out what needs to be done to take the string off so that, like I say, so you can open it up and get to the antidote. Anyway, that is I'm calling it the Bubble Virus Antidote Puzzle. And this will be in a medical box, like a first aid type box, that they've got to try and figure out how to get that open, and then they've got to take this out and then try and open it. And they've got, like I say, a certain amount of time to get that accomplished. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, have a better day, as I always say.